Kids Studio, where we make amazing art videos. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you can be notified every time we post a new art video.
Welcome back. This is Miss Jessica, and today we're going to learn to draw Bluey from the kids show Bluey. All right, let's get started. So we're actually going to start with Bluey's eyes. So I'm going to start with an oval, and then I'm going to do an oval right in the center for the pupil. And I'm going to start on her other eye, but I'm not going to do the full eye. I'm only going to do half. So we're going to do like a half oval right next to where we did our one eye, and then a half oval for the pupil as well. And that's going to tell us the length we need to make the snout. And I just draw a line right under the eye and stop at the edge right there. Then I'm going to go ahead and do her nose. Now her nose is a triangle, but the corners are going to be rounded. So I'm going to go ahead, and as I go around, I'm going to round out those corners. Next, from the middle of the point of the nose, we're going to come down and make almost a rectangular shape, but the point is rounded, just like this. Then we're going to make like a C shape for the mouth. Then I'm going to go back to where the snout is and just make a really thin rectangle just under the snout and just before that C shape. And that's going to be the front of Bluey's teeth. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple little bumps in the back, and that will make our little teeth. So we're going to go on the tail end of that C there and just do a slight curve and connects to the top of the teeth there to make the rest of her mouth. And then just a little curve shape for the tongue. And there's the rest of Bluey's face. So now we're going to go up and do her eyebrows, which are kind of a jelly bean shape. So I'm going to go to the top of the first eye, do a slight curve, and then bring it up and around like a little jelly bean. And then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. And they don't have to be quite centered over the eyes. You just want them there. And if they're different sizes, that's okay too. But now we have her eyebrows. So now I'm going to do Bluey's arms, and I'm going to go right next to the mouth over here. And I'm going to do 2 diagonal lines because her hands are going to be up in the air. And I'm going to do a bump for her thumb, and then 1, 2, 3 fingers, and then a curve for the palm of her hand. Now I'm going to go on the other side of her face, and where we made that little almost rectangle shape, I'm going to go about halfway, bring my line down, and over and up, and I'm going to end it just a little bit after the way where I started that line for her body. And it's almost like a rectangle but with curved corners. And then I'll go to the other side, right next to her mouth like we did with the other one, and we're going to do the same thing. 2 diagonal lines, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and a line for her palm. And this arm is going to be a little bit shorter, so pay attention to that so it's not much longer. And then for the rest of her body, we're just going to make the rest of that rectangle. I'm just going to bring it up around, and it's going to go through her eyebrows, so I make sure not to draw my line through the eyebrows. Now that the body's done, we're going to do the ears, and my ears are going to start at the end of the body, do a diagonal, and then a straight line down. Diagonal, straight line down. So the triangles aren't perfect. We want that to make sure we make that diagonal line. Now we're going to go ahead and do Bluey's legs, and my screen recording kind of glitched, so the leg's just going to pop up. There it is. And we're going to do 2 lines, one short, and then the back one will be longer. We're doing that for both of the legs because we're leaving room for that foot. And make sure that you look at your drawing and make sure you're not making those legs too long. The longest line is going to be how long your leg ends up. Then we're going to do a little curve on the end, just like this. And then a line at the bottom for the bottom of the foot, and then 2 lines for the toes on each foot. And there we are. Now it's time for Bluey's tail. So we just do that curved line, add a couple bumps on the end, and then we're going to go ahead and curve up. Now the bumps don't have to be perfect. You can do a variety of different bumps, or you can look at a picture and make sure you get it exactly right, but I'm not really too worried about that. And so you'll notice that I didn't add in the lines for Bluey's pattern that she has on her. I'm going to do that with color. So you want a variety of color. You want like a light blue, a medium blue, a darker blue, black, some red, and tan. So I'm going to start with using my darker blue. I'm going to start at the eyebrow, go through the eye, but not drawing through the eye. And then I'm going to be coloring in that whole section of the spot right at the top corner of the body, and I'm just going to fill that in. And as I color in, I'm going to make sure not to go up into the ear, around the eyebrow, and the eye. Her next little spot that I'm going to do is just in her ear, and I'm just going to do the outline of the ear inside of my lines. Now if you're doing this with colored pencil, I recommend sharpening over your drawing that you ended up doing, so that way you have that crisp, clean lines. And because we're dealing with a pattern here, it's going to be a little bit more tedious than past things that I've colored. So I'm going to do the same thing to my other ear, just doing the darker blue outline inside of the ear, but not going completely center because inside of Bluey's ear is actually a tan color. And then she also has a nice little dark pattern mask on her other eye. So I'm going to just do what I did before, kind of outline it and color it in on the other side there, making sure to leave a gap. And then she also has this darker blue color on the tip of her tail. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a curve to it to make it feel a little bit more three-dimensional, even though she's a 2D character. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my light blue and I'm going to start there. And it's a little hard to see on the camera because we have white and the light blue is pretty close to white. I'd say it's super light sky blue. And I'm going to start with her eyebrows. So you'll see me starting to color in the eyebrow area right there. And then do her other eyebrow. And then I'm going to do her paws, so she kind of has these gloves on her hands. So you go just a little ways down where her wrist would be. And I'm doing the backhand first here. I know it's kind of hard to see because of how light colored it is, but it is that light sky blue color. We'll see it a little bit better once we get the other blue and the tan on there. And this is our lightest blue that we end up having on Bluey. So we have our darkest blue and now we have our lightest blue. And then I'm going to go over to her feet and kind of give her little boots. And I'm going to start right about where the ankle would be. And I'm doing the back foot first, coloring that, and then going over to the other foot and doing the same thing. And you definitely want to take time with the patterns because it gives us like a sense of Bluey the character. You know, it's unmistakable that Bluey is this character with these specific marks. So now that I'm done with Bluey's feet, I'm going to go ahead and fill in her stomach, and I'm going to make sure that I do this nice, like, you know, half oval shape, end shape, and I'm going to fill it in, and I'm going to bring it up all the way to her mouth. There are times where Bluey's mouth isn't really close to this mark, but in some positions her mouth actually overlaps. So in this case, this spot is this close to her mouth because she has such a big expression. Now from this mark, we're going to go ahead and do the light blue mark that is around her snout and then around her mouth. So if you look at the top of her snout, we're going to kind of start in the middle, and then we're going to bring it down and around that mouth and connect it to that belly mark. And we can make some minor adjustments as we get further on in coloring. And if you are using color pencil or a marker, that's what's kind of nice with starting with these lighter colors, is that we can take our darker colors and overlap them, so in case we make any mistakes. So the next color we're going to do is our medium blue, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go along that mark and on her belly, and then just kind of color it in and just even it out a little bit more. Go down into her legs, and the rest of her body and her legs will be this blue color. The only thing we're not doing this blue color is her snout. That's going to be tan, so make sure not to get too excited and ahead of yourself where you accidentally color her snout. And then you want to make sure that the inside of her ears are left for that tan color as well. Then I'm going to make sure to go and clean up that little belly mark and just make sure that it all is looking cohesive and really nice. And if you're not quite done with your blue by the time that I'm done, I did speed up the video in case of those people that know Bluey like the back of your hand, that you don't need to wait for the instruction. You can always pause and then press play again once you're ready. Alright, so now that I'm finishing up Bluey's blue, I'm going to go ahead and do our tan now, and that's just going to be the inside of the ear and then Bluey's snout out as well. And now the complicated, meticulous color picking is done. And then the rest will be super easy after this. Now after we're done with her snout, we are going to go ahead and start on her nose. And the nose is not actually black, it's this darker blue than the blue that we have on Bluey. So if you have a color pencil or marker that's a little bit darker blue, if not, you can just use a black. And I'm going to use just a darker blue color for the nose because I can. And I'm going to color that in and then go over the top of it with a highlight to get the little gloss of her nose. Now, if you're using color pencils and marker and not an iPad like I am, then what you want to do is you want to put an oval shape at the very top of her nose. If you're not really sure what I mean by that, you can watch ahead and see what I color, but just put a nice little oval shape at the top of her nose so that way you don't accidentally color over that highlight if you're working with traditional mediums. So here I go, I'm just going to do see, it's just a little bit darker blue than her dark blue. And then I pick this nice light gray color and I just do like a little oval at the top of her nose, again giving her just a little bit more depth even though she's a three-dimensional character. Now we're going to go ahead and do the inside of the mouth, and I'm doing that red color for her tongue. And then I just go ahead and pick black for the inside of her mouth. And then I'm going to be using that same black color and I'm going to be doing the color in her eyes because it's just a simple black color and it's nothing special. And then once you're done with coloring all of that, that is Bluey. I know that this video was a little bit longer of a video than we're used to, but thanks so much for watching. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you guys sticking around till the very end. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more fun videos like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that way you know every single time we post a new video. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time.